Deportation to Afghanistan is baseless. It doesn't make any sense. You're sending a large number of young Afghans to a war zone. Those that were deported a year ago, a large number of them are already out of the country.
In early 2017, we met Mirwais, Shams and Puya in the Afghan capital. How have they fared since then? On our return a year later, we start off by looking for Shams Ahmadi. In January 2017, Bavarian officials had deported the rejected asylum seeker to Kabul. We first met him soon after that.
I slit my wrists. I can't remember how I did it, but I recall the policeman saying, "If you try to kill yourself or something like that, we'll sedate you and put you on the plane to Afghanistan anyway."
Shams was one of 234 Afghans who were deported from Germany on charter flights between December 2016 and May 2018. Doctors in Germany had certified that the young man was at risk for suicide and was suffering from severe depression. He had neither family nor friends in Kabul. His only contact back then was Abdul Ghafoor, founder of an aid organization for deportees.
I was in contact with Shams for a long time because of the support that he used to receive from the network in Germany and the medicine he used to. And then he suddenly disappeared, you know. We couldn't get in touch with him for a long time.
Then at some point, a blurry photo appeared on social media. Was Shams living on the streets?
He reappeared and called me one day and said that, okay, he had an accident, which he had broken his ribs, his foot, his leg. He was in a very bad shape, you know, and he was not able to walk for a long time. And then again, he disappeared. And since then, I haven't heard anything from him. I don't know where is he. I don't know whether he is okay or not, or what's happening with him right now.
For weeks, all our inquiries led to nothing. Shams seemed to have vanished.
Those that were deported a year ago, a large number of them are already out of the country. Most of them are either in Turkey or Iran, or the very few that are stuck in Kabul are kind of waiting for a chance. To them, a chance means a little resource, a little money, so that they can make it possible to get out of the country.
Has Shams also left Afghanistan again? Is he, like so many other deportees, on his way back to Europe? And what has happened to his fellow returnees? For the first time in 15 months, we meet up again in Kabul with Puya Rafyan.
You expect something terrible to happen any second, on the street or wherever you might be. That's why I can't move around freely. I try to hide, and I don't tell everyone where I am.
Puya had lived in Germany for 6 years before he was scheduled for deportation in late 2016. He found out about it in time and left the country voluntarily. That enabled him, once he was in Kabul, to reapply for a German visa.
Things here in Afghanistan have grown awful, much worse than I expected. I thought it might have gotten a bit better. I have problems with several groups here, not with everyone. But based on everything I've seen, this is not a place where I can imagine living.
Puya had spent 55 days in various hiding places throughout Afghanistan, fearing for his life. He's a singer, and he'd made anti-war videos that were also seen in Afghanistan. He was afraid that the Taliban had him in their sights. In the meantime, Pooya Rafian has returned to Germany. He hit the jackpot in what might be called the lottery of destinies, known as deportation policy. Just after 2 months, the German embassy in Kabul told him that he would be able to return legally to Germany. He had no prior convictions, had a job offer, and many supporters who went to bat for him. Today he lives in a small apartment in Hanau, near Frankfurt. He brought his harmonium with him from Afghanistan.
Das ist meine Baby.
This is my baby, my instrument. I have to have my instrument wherever I go, like every musician. It also means a lot to me because I played this instrument when I was in Afghanistan. And now I'd like to sing this.
Pooya is now officially an asylum seeker. He has a job as a musician and actor in a theatre in Darmstadt, and he's married a German Afghan woman.
Zu Hause bin ich jetzt eigentlich in Deutschland.
I'm basically at home now in Germany. I lost everything I had in Afghanistan. Apart from my family, I have nothing in Afghanistan. But in my thoughts and my spirit, I'm always in Afghanistan with my family. Last week I had a concert and I had to sing Das Heimweh, homesickness, in German. And that was my text. I shall never see my homeland again. That Heimweh was pretty tough for me. The idea of never seeing my homeland again.
Being torn between two worlds is the price that refugees pay for their new life. In Pooya's apartment in Hanau, an Afghan music TV program plays non-stop. He knows many of the pop stars personally. Some of them have also fled Afghanistan. Now Pooya is grateful to be fairly secure in Germany. He recalls only too well when he had Duldung status, a temporary stay of deportation. It was a time of gnawing uncertainty.
For 7 years, I didn't feel at home because there was this constant fear that any day a new law or regulation could come and they'd deport me. You're afraid of so many things, what might happen, and what they might decide to do to you.
Pooya commutes every week between Hanau and Darmstadt, where he has work at the State Theatre. On the way, he meets a young Afghan, Shafi Rahmani, whom he knows from the theatre. His asylum application has just been rejected. Pooya tries to comfort him.
You first have to learn the language. Are you afraid you'll have to return to Afghanistan? What exactly did they tell you?
So far, nothing. But I've been really scared ever since the day they rejected me. It's unbearable. And I've also become ill. The officials know about my illness. I feel sick and I suffer from repeated panic attacks.
God is great. Maybe the people in charge will give you a positive answer. Getting training, though, could help you stay here. Are you working?
No, I'm just taking courses.
That's good. Improve your German, too. It's actually not all that bad already, but you still need to improve.
But learning German is no protection against deportation. In 2016, the EU promised Afghanistan 1.2 billion euros in annual development aid until 2020, if the country cooperated in taking back rejected Afghan asylum seekers. Back in Kabul, there's still no sign of Shams Ahmadi. In late May, the German Foreign Ministry issued a new report on Afghanistan, which was to be the basis of a reassessment of deportation practices. The publication coincided with the first anniversary of a terrorist attack that largely destroyed the German embassy in Kabul and killed or wounded hundreds of people. After the attack, Germany temporarily halted the deportations. There has been some progress, but the new report paints a still disastrous picture of the situation in Afghanistan. And Berlin now intends to resume unrestricted deportations. It's a decision that the head of the aid organization for deportees, Abdul Ghaffur, can't understand.
So currently we are in the western part of Kabul, which was supposed to be one of the safest parts like a year ago or a year and a half ago. But recently most of the attacks that has been happening in Kabul has been at this part. For example, one of the places that we are currently looking at is this PD6, Police District 6, where there was a suicide attack. It was last year. And the recent one was on Police District 13, which is at this part of right side of me. So my perception of today's Kabul is like way worse than it was like a year ago.
Although the number of casualties due to fighting has gone down, there has been a surge in suicide attacks. Some 2,300 civilians were killed in terrorist attacks last year, a rise of 17% according to the United Nations.
The other very serious thing that's happening in Kabul is the magnetic bomb attacks, you know. So what people do is that they attach magnetic bomb to your cars, and then suddenly it goes boom and the person in the car or the persons in the car are gone. You know, they're either injured or killed.
That makes every car trip a dance with death. Afghan politicians and foreign diplomats barricade themselves behind meter-high blast walls and only leave their ministries and embassies with security escorts. Measures that are unaffordable for ordinary Afghans. When we first met Mirwais Arya, he was thinking about leaving Afghanistan. But he chose a different path and is now building up a future here. It was not an easy decision. Like most Afghans, he has lost many friends to terrorism.
When I passed these roads, going from home to war, I remember every single incident. You know, here, 7 journalists from Tolo TV was attacked right here, at this point. When I pass this road every day, I remember them. This single area has lots of the things, you know, which hurts me. If you navigate the city, that where is safer, where is more safer, that's not working here. You have to be fearless, really fearless, when you go out in Kabul. I don't follow those security messages that they are every day that are spreading among the people, that do not go to this area, don't go to that area. I just don't read it. I just ignore that.
We met Mirwais a year ago in his small restaurant, Mazadar Burger. He was full of energy and optimism. Within a few months, he turned the hamburger joint into one of Kabul's hippest venues. His 4 brothers all had good jobs and were thinking less and less about trying to get to Europe. The thought of leaving their parents behind was unbearable, they told us back then.
One day my mom told me, if you leave the country and your brothers leave the country and they die on the waters or on the difficult ways, I'll be never proud of you, because I'll be not proud of my sons who die with no identity. But I'll be proud of you if you die here in a suicide attack or an explosion, because you will die as all of your own people.
So far, Mirwais' decision not to leave the country has paid off. His chain of fast food restaurants is expanding.
The branch is bigger right now, and we have employed more people. Right now, 10 people are working here at this branch. This is also our shop, and this was the first pizza, brand that we started. So we will take off this wall, and that would be the whole south.
The young entrepreneur now employs 30 workers in 4 branches. He shuttles between them every day. And he's expanding the concept too. The most recently opened branch not only offers pizza and burgers, but books. Mirwais reads anything he can get hold of. He says his role model as a businessman is Donald Trump.
The problem with our society is the less interest for reading. And that's why that we are stacked mindfully. If you don't read, you don't learn. If you don't learn, you don't change. If any single person is not allowing that change to his or her personality and mind, so the society is not changing. We are not the single society in the history of human on the earth who are suffering from this situation. You in Europe have suffered the same situation, maybe worse than that. Every society that they are on the top of the world, they have suffered the same situation. But there were the people who paid the sacrifices, they worked hard, they believed, they had faith, and they thought positive.
The fast food startup founder admits that his brand of entrepreneurial spirit and optimism is more the exception than the rule in Afghanistan. But he says he's not the only one who rejects leaving as an alternative. He suggests we stop by the Slice Bakery. None of the guests here we talk to want to leave Afghanistan, even though they all complain about the security situation and the government. Mohadesi Mirwais, who is here with her mother Samira, has just returned from Canada, where she trained to be a pilot.
People all around the world, they think that it's all about the war and fights and everything, but it's not about that. Like, we are humans, like, we live like other people around the world. Like, we have cafes, we have restaurants, we have like weddings, we have like gas and everything. We have our entertainments. I mean, wherever I go, I'll come back to Afghanistan. I want to build my life here, and I want to build Afghanistan here.
I was very glad that she was in Canada studying, far from the war and the suicide attacks in Afghanistan.
There is no guarantee on living. Like, that's a fact part. We have to live with all these things. I know there is war, there is explosions, everything, but they're all gonna end one day. They're not gonna stay forever.
Flee or start from scratch? Leave or stay? These are existential questions to which there are no easy answers. Few know that better than blogger and head of the Afghanistan Migrants Advice and Support Organization, Abdul Ghafoor, who himself once fled to Europe. He was deported from Norway in 2013.
I was as lost as many other returnees. I was lost because I have also been in Pakistan most of my life. I have never been to Afghanistan before. The only thing that has brought me into position where I am today is that I found an aim. The aim was to, okay, don't sit quiet, write about it. Let the world know what happens post-deportation.
Weeks ago, we asked Abdul Ghafoor to help us find Shams Ahmadi, but there's still no sign of life.
Whenever I was meeting him, he had this sense of hopelessness because he was handicapped in a way. Mentally he wasn't very well, and physically also, because he wasn't able to do the hard work, for example.
Every week, new deportees arrive. Many come to Abdul Ghafoor desperate for help. Morteza Delawari was deported from Germany on April the 24th.
The news shocked me. It didn't kill me, but it was almost as bad. News like that is like death for a person who lived in Germany with so much hope, work, and who was trying so hard.
Morteza had never lived in Afghanistan. His parents had fled to Iran when he was a child. But since 2016, Iran has been deporting Afghan refugees by the thousands.
They said if we fought for them in Syria, we'd get a residency permit in Iran, an apartment and the right to work. But first, we had to fight in Syria.
Deportation to many might just be a word, but to the person who is experiencing and witnessing deportation, it's really tough to deal with it. So for some of them, when they don't see any hope, the only way they find is to do something that's very crazy, like go and fight in Syria.
Is that the path that Shams, whose family also lived in Iran, might have taken? For nearly 2 months, we tried to find him, with no result. Then Abdul Ghafoor wrote us on Facebook that Shams had called him. He'd tried to reach Iran, but was arrested and sent back. At least it was a sign of life, and another example of how the lack of prospects in Afghanistan pushes deportees to flee the country again. By the time we left Kabul, Shams had still not appeared. Back in Germany, we meet up again with the Afghan musician and actor, Pooya Raufyan.
So again,
Let's go on stage now. Our stage is Afghanistan, with mountains, with flowers.
Pooya, now recognized as an Afghan refugee, has been involved in a production in Darmstadt called God's Victory.
Hello.
The play, which is about to have its premiere, attempts to draw attention to the difficult situation of Afghan migrants. It's about terrorism, violence, war, traffickers, flight, and the difficulties of getting a foothold in Europe.
There's a big difference between these two worlds. I'm in Germany, where I feel safe. When I'm sitting in the park or somewhere, I don't have to be afraid that a bomb will explode or that something will happen on the street. If my country were safe, I wouldn't stay here a day longer. I'd go back. But as I see it now, it's just going to get worse and worse.
It's hard for Pooya to relax. He's anxious about the safety of his parents and siblings.
I'm very worried about my family. In Afghanistan, they're in danger. Day and night, I think about how I can find a solution and get them to Germany or another safe country. When I see on Facebook that there was an explosion in Afghanistan in this or that city, I immediately call up to make sure they're all right. That's the fear we feel all the time.
Whatever path Afghans may choose, whether to leave or to stay, fear is part of their lives. Mirwais Arya is on his way home. Everyone here in this neighborhood in Kabul knows him. He's active in promoting cleaner streets and safety in the district. The security situation is a constant issue.
Every insecurity incident that happens inside the city, it makes the business down for 3-4 days. Nobody is coming out to eat a pizza or drink a juice. When the attacks are going inside the city and the people are dying, dozens of people are dying. Huh?
Hey, what's up? Are your brakes working?
Hmm? If I ask about the reason that what happens tomorrow, why should I invest? Why should I, waste my time? Till the time that I'm alive, I have to do a thing that I believe that's good. Today I'm proud of making the decision to stay. I love to read a lot from Persian poet Rumi. I'm getting inspired by him so much. When I read this specific quote from him, forget safety, live where you fear to live. Destroy your reputation, be notorious. When something bad happens, you feel bad, you feel negative. And you feel like you're scared so much. And that quote and that sentence come to my mind. And then I move in.